for Argentina.
All right. It seems crazy to say this, but Spain, even though they did beat France and Kylian Mbappe, they've only won one World Cup. And they're going up against, they're going up against the defending champs who, granted, their path to the final has not been as difficult as Spain's. In fact, it seems like every game they play is indoors. They haven't had the toughest competition, but they have Lionel Messi. And every time we think that Argentina is done, they find a way to either score late, score the winning goal, the go-ahead goal. They trail 2-0 to Egypt. Look what happened against Cape Verde. Would have been the biggest upset in World Cup history. You think they're hanging on by a thread, and then look at what they do to England. Because of Messi, because they know how to win, for me, Spain, believe it or not, is the slight underdog in this one.
Oh, my gosh. You hit all of the old guy tropes there. They know how to win. They've won in the past. And also, you just made a case for why they're the inferior team by pointing out they've been winning by the skin of their teeth against inferior opponents. Spain is clearly the better team. And full disclosure here, I came into the World Cup thinking France was going to win. Watching this Spanish team, Julien, the French, was eye-opening for me. I am riding with La Roja. I think what's so scary about them, Frank, is they've been so dominant, so complete, so good at defense, only allowing one goal. Despite the fact that Yamal hasn't even been that great, who is supposed to be their best player. So to me, they could even hit another gear in the final. I think Spain are clearly the favorites to win it.
All right, you mentioned an old guy tropes. Here's one for your generation. They punked Jude Bellingham against England. And this is what I'm worried about with Lamine Yamal, and how great is that picture from, 19 years ago when Lamine Yamal was an infant and Lionel Messi was for a charity in Barcelona, actually took a picture with him. But on Sunday, what Argentina is going to do, they're going to try to unnerve Lamine Yamal, and they're going to go after him. They're going to be physical, and this is the one thing about this team from Argentina. Everyone focuses on Messi, which they should. But that team is relentless.
Yeah.
They could be vicious out there. And again, I know you don't want to hear this. They know how to win. There has to be something to be said for that. Every time they fell behind in this tournament, they figure out a way to score. What more do you want to see from them? Because of Messi, and this is going to be his last ever game, probably at the World Cup, and I'll be there, I think Argentina, believe it or not, for me, still going as a favorite. I know you think I'm nuts.
I think we might have the exact same age gap. I'm not going to do the math on the fly. We definitely didn't recreate that photo at any point.
You're my Lamine Yamal. That's it. Let's take one last break, but still to come, Bam Adebayo learns whether the NBA will punish him for his dust-up with Tyler Hero.
And LeBron has the chance to tell people where he's playing and passes.
By the way, you accidentally compared me to Messi.
You compared your... I guess I did.
Well, no, yes. The elder statesman. Pardon the interruption, but I'm Frank Isola, and there's nothing better than getting to host this show with a close friend.
I'm Mina Kimes. Close.
Come on. I did randomly text you the other day. And that was a good line that I had.
I think randomly it shows why I said we're not actually close.
Don't repeat that line either.
I appreciated it.
You'll get me in trouble if you repeat that line. Welcome to PTI, everyone. Mike and Tony are on a paddle boat in the Tidal Basin, so I'm joined by someone who I thought was my close friend from NFL Live and the Mina Kimes podcast featuring Lenny. Mina Kimes, everyone. Apparently her close friends are all here. Let's begin with the cascade of criticism for English coach Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel pulled playmakers in favor of defenders after England took a 1-0 lead on Argentina yesterday. Argentina then dominated the rest of the action, scoring twice late for the win and sending England out of the tournament. They still play the third-place game on Saturday, by the way. Tuchel said afterward, quote, "It's the nature of the game. As soon as you lose, you get criticized. No one knows what would have happened if we made different decisions." Do you agree with Tuchel's defense of his prevent defense, Mina?
Well, I didn't really hear a defense in that answer from him. So I guess I do agree with him because I found this indefensible. I mean, if you're only possessing the ball 12% of the time after scoring, which is what happened with England, it's pretty hard to defend. I was going to compare it to a turtle tucking its head into its shell for an hour. But in the turtle's case, that would actually be strategic. And Frank, I don't think there was anything strategic about this given the opponent. I mean, the point of comparison here is the game against Mexico, where they emphasized defense. But they were down a man because of the red card, playing in Mexico City with the altitude, so they were gassed. This was in a dome, 11 on 11, and on the other side you had maybe the greatest playmaker in the history of a sport, a guy whose crosses look like handoffs. I do not understand anything about this decision, especially after the first goal. No adjustments from the manager. To me, this was a fireable offense.
It's interesting. A lot of people are saying that as well. So we all know the history of England. This happens to them a lot. And most recently, 2018 in Russia against Croatia in the semifinals, 1-0 lead. They sit back, they lose. Italy in the Euro final, this was in 2021, which was played at Wembley. They score early, they sit back, Italy ties it. Italy wins in penalty kicks. And then, of course, what happened yesterday. And you're so right about everyone compared, well, this is what they did against Mexico. Well, they were kind of forced to do that. They were up 3-1 in that game, so they had some room right there to operate. And then they were also down a man. So that, they were running out of gas. And Mexico is not Argentina. And Messi, to his credit, what a brilliant playmaker. He floated out to the right side of the field where he had space. And I agree with people who said, why not man mark him at that point? Everything runs through Messi. When he goes out to the right side, don't take it as he's not going to be involved. No, they get him the ball all the time. So he had the assist, obviously, to Enzo Fernandez in the goal in the 85th minute. And then he has the right-footed cross to the goal by Martinez.
Ridiculous.
So it was just, if you're England, you have so many good players. I get it. If you're a weaker team, if you're Egypt and you're hanging on for dear life, I get it. You're England. Why are you taking out players that you might be able to score in a counterattack? Or here's the thing, Mina, like you mentioned, keep the ball. You mentioned from the 55th to the 92nd minute, the 88% of the possession was Argentina. How about the fact that England completed during that time 6 passes? Argentina had 8 shots during that time. I mean, to just allow, when you invite pressure like that against any team, you're asking for it. When you're doing it against Argentina, who all throughout the tournament, Mina, all they did was score late goals. They've done it in every knockout game that they played. It's so disappointing. And for Tuchel, it'll be interesting when they get back to England, whether or not he survives and coaches them in the Euro in a couple of years.
Yes, and I would like to apologize. I should have said sackable, not fireable, to the football fans out there.
Very good.
But yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the history, though, right? Because Tuchel was supposed to be the anti-Southgate. He was being advertised as this brilliant tactician, and yet what I saw was far from brilliant, and as we just discussed, didn't seem to account for the opponent's strengths or their weaknesses at all. All right. Let's move on to the first round of the British Open at Royal Birkdale. American Jackson Suber currently leads at -5, but getting most of the attention, as often is the case, is Bryson DeChambeau, who is just 2 back at 3 under. DeChambeau has yet to make a cut at a major this year, and Sir Nick Faldo told Sky Sports this week, I'd say it to his face, DeChambeau has 0 clue of strategy. He said last year, I'm going to go out and attack the links. Well, I've never attacked a links. You thread it, don't you? Frank, if you were DeChambeau, how would you feel about what you did today in the wake of Faldo's criticism?
Oh, I'd like it a lot. And, this has been something with Bryson DeChambeau all throughout his career, the way that he plays. We were told, well, the way he plays, he's never going to win a major. Well, he did win 2 U.S. Opens. This is what he does. And after his round today, this is what he said. He didn't mention Nick Faldo by name, but he said, I think you have to be more strategic out on the golf course. Then he said, I feel like I did a really good job today of being incredibly strategic. And finally, I feel like my strategy was nice today. So because of the FCC regulations, I'm not allowed to really translate in that to what he really meant to say to Nick Faldo. But to his credit, now, remember, DeChambeau missed the cut at the first 3 majors. Today was his best round since last year at the British Open when he shot a 64 in the final round. So I think all career he's trying to prove his critics wrong, and today I think he proved Nick Faldo wrong.
Today, right?
Yeah.
Still early, only hit 4 of the 14 fairways, might not be sustainable, but undoubtedly had a good day. And look, it's not like he has not had success on the links before. tied 10th last year. He finished 10th last year.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, 8th. So it is not unprecedented, even though his game is based more on power than finesse. I found it hard, though, to figure out exactly what's going on with him because we're only a few years removed from him looking like one of the best golfers in the world.
Yeah.
The talent is obviously there, but he's constantly making, DeChambeau, these choices that almost feel more business motivated or brand motivated than golf motivated, like playing with the 3D clubs after not having success with them at the Masters. I don't really know what to make of that. And like you said, if it works and what he is doing is unusual and singular, as is often the case with him, he will take a victory lap like no other and deserve it. But it hasn't been working all year, so I have to admit I'm still a little bit skeptical that it plays out well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the American Jackson Suber, 5 under. It's only his 3rd major, and it's his first time that he's ever been to Europe. Think about that. You go like once every 3 months. This is the first time the guy's ever been over in Europe, and he's right now first place at the Open. 26 years old from Ole Miss. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, and now to the ranking of the best and worst quarterback situations in the NFL. Right up your alley, Mina. CBS Sports lists the 49ers with Brock Purdy and Mac Jones as being the strongest situation in the NFL, and the Browns' array of Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Taylor Green as the worst. Is this how you see it, Mina?
All right, let's start with Cleveland. I don't know if there is a more dreaded sentence in sports, aside from we've got Frank Isola on line 2, then the Cleveland Browns are having a quarterback competition, especially these quarterbacks, to be blunt. Deshaun Watson hasn't played since 2024. In that time, he suffered major injuries. But if you go back to 2024, he ranked outside the top 40 in EPA per dropback and success rate. There are 32 teams in the NFL. And Shedeur Sanders also ranked outside the top 40 in those metrics as well last season. So, yes, I think it is absolutely fair to say that about Cleveland. As far as San Francisco goes, I think it's important to clarify they're not saying Brock Purdy is the best quarterback in sports. They're ranking the entire situation. And we did see last year Mac Jones came in, performed very proficiently. So I think this is a defensible ranking. But I will add, a lot of that clearly has to do with Kyle Shanahan calling the plays there. And if you took both quarterbacks outside of San Francisco, I don't think you would have exactly the same result. Yeah,
see, so this is the thing about you NFL people. You try to think outside the box all the time. This is so easy. The best quarterback situation in the NFL is the team that has Patrick Mahomes. And if he's going to play, which he is this year, you're fine. And I get it. There have been backup quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl, Jeff Hostetler, Kurt Warner, Nick Foles. So, yeah, having a quality backup is important. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, you have the best quarterback situation. As for the worst, and you mentioned the Browns, and you're 100% right, I would put them first. But the Jets are pretty close, and I get it. Geno Smith is your guy, and I'm not going to mention 2-13 because you convinced me a couple of years ago that the record does not belong, the one-loss record doesn't belong to the quarterback. It's a team stat, so I'm not going to give you the 2-13. But he did lead the league in the worst completion. Oh, no, he was sacked, 55 times, threw 17 interceptions. Now, the offensive line with the Raiders wasn't very good.
Bad.
The Jets have a very good offensive line. They have good weapons, so hopefully it works out. But it's still the Jets, Mina. And that's a bad situation. And they drafted a kid out of Clemson in the 4th round. And I'm going to say by the 2nd week, maybe the 3rd week, you're going to hear the media and the fans calling for a quarterback change.
Entirely possible, not worse than Cleveland. But I do want to go back to Kansas City because I think actually they have a case for the best situation.
See?
Patrick Mahomes, you made the case, obviously he's Patrick Mahomes. Justin Fields is behind him.
That's
and while
right.
I do not think Justin Fields is a top 20, 25 starting quarterback in the NFL, he is certainly one of the better backups in the league and the kind of quarterback you can create a specific game plan for. So I do think Kansas City, their situation is really good, not just the starting quarterback, who is, of course, Patrick Mahomes.
All right, what about Miami with Malik Willis? 2 seasons in Green Bay, completed 79% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, he's played well when he's had to fill in, and they rank them as one of the worst. I think 4th or 3rd worst. What about that?
Yeah, I don't know. He's in a very, very bad situation, so I don't think he's going to look as good as he did in Green Bay, and I also don't think it'll be his fault because, Frank, situation matters. That's why we don't only count wins and losses when we assess quarterbacks.
And that's why Kansas City has the best quarterback situation in the NFL. Let's take a break, but coming up, the Mets and the Phillies play tonight, which has been the more interesting story this season.
And should Spain or Argentina be considered the underdog in Sunday's World Cup final?
Frank on line 2. That's the worst sentence in sports. You got me on that one. Man.
My close friend.
Man.
That's why I can make jokes like that, because we're so close.
All right, so baseball returns. There's only one game on the schedule. It happens to be the team that hosted the All-Star game. By the way, great job by the city of Philadelphia and the Phillies. Really good show. The home run derby and obviously the game. Not great, but 15 strikeouts. But I'm going to give it to the Phillies for this reason, because A, it has a New York slant to it, and I know that you always think that that's how I go, the New York way. Don Mattingly, since replacing Rob Thompson as manager, they have gone, I want to make sure I get my stats here right, 45-24. So they've been a terrific team. Only the Brewers have a better record in baseball since then. The Mets are a complete disaster. You know, the payroll that the owner has is nearly $500 million, give and take a few million there, and they haven't performed. They had a run in April where they lost 12 straight games. It has been a major, major disappointment. So I'm going to stick with the Phillies team. Kyle Schwarber, 32 home runs. You know, Bryce Harper's still doing his thing. Their pitching has rounded out. And I'm happy for Don Mattingly, who came this close to winning a World Series last year with Toronto. Maybe he'll get one with Philadelphia.
Hey, you're right. The Phillies are the better story, certainly the more relevant one. But the question was which one's more interesting. And I feel like the Mets are more interesting in the way that a tire fire makes you slow down and watch them when you're driving. Because you mentioned it, the $500 million payroll, on pace to finish last in the division for the first time in 23 years. And on pace is important here, Frank, because as bad as the Mets have been, it could get worse. After the Phillies, who are obviously red hot, as you laid out, their next 3 series are against teams all on top of their respective divisions. Hardest remaining schedule in baseball. Really don't know what Steve Cohen's going to do, but obviously they're going to be sellers. You
know, the Mets are in danger of finishing in last place for the first time, last place in the National League, first time in over 23 years. You mentioned the Mets are how bad it is. 26th in batting average, 29th in on-base percentage, 27th in slugging percentage, 26th in quality starts. It's been an absolute mess, and you're right, that schedule gets tough. It could get worse for them. All right, what's next?
Toss-up, who's the underdog in Sunday's World Cup final? Spain